Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast on Prince, starring Big Sexy and Zach. I don't know why I said that. Myself, Michael Dean, and special guest. I think this is the third go around. Could be wrong.
Yeah, they're sick of listening to me, man. They don't
not at all.
Nonsense.
Mr. Michael Bland, sir, how are you?
I'm fine, just running my mouth per usual, man. Just, keeping up confusion.
Well, this is the unconfusion place, so hopefully.
This is a place to clear it up, I guess. Yeah.
I hope so. Right. But man, it's a pleasure to have you back on. I think it's always, toward the end of the year, we all come back together, get on the mics, and do our thing. So.
It's it's good to clean the slate. A lot happens over the course of the year, and y'all talk to people, I talk to people, and it's this is really actually the best forum for me to just kind of be in after all that, because y'all really don't bat an eye at anything I have to say. And
yet, no, I'm just joking.
I feel I can be free to express myself without a certain amount of tyranny. Although lately I've taken to reading some of the comments in some of the interviews.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to do that.
Wow, people really in their feelings, huh?
Man, listen, there's a whole science to dealing with the comments.
I was gonna say, it's like that was a question for me to you. Like, how do you handle it, man? It's like sometimes I get so, it's like, well, if I say anything, I gotta say everything.
That's interesting. You know what? Because I just look at myself as another fan. I disassociate myself from it. It's not about me. You know what I mean? It's, if I was a listener and I wasn't a part of this and I listened to it, I would probably be asking some of these things. I might not say it in a way of like attacking or something, but I can understand the questions and the comments. I get it. Like, as a fan, I get it. You know what I mean? And so I would just don't want to see it get disrespectful. But
sure,
yeah, I don't. It's like, this guy is the worst interviewer. I take that as like, cool. You know what? At least you listen to it. So
yeah, they took the time to listen,
right?
If
so I'm just
else.
like, whatever. It's all good. As long as they ain't saying, again, if somebody said it in my face, that's different.
Well, then you gotta smack the taste out of them.
Right. That's a little different.
Michael Dean, I know, that's what he would do.
I think it's different though, because from an interviewing style standpoint, everybody's got different,
exactly,
approaches. Everybody's not trying to be Walter Cronkite or or Ed Gordon. You just have to be yourself. And the thing is, when a person is genuine, it comes across.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, but I guess for me in particular, I feel like this is the best place to sort of I don't know if debunk is the right term, but I mean, I always feel like, because you guys are sort of nonplussed and not the type of fans to be, like overly protective about, Prince's image or
purple public defenders.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, because you guys, you're more level-headed than a lot of the other interviewers that I've even, spoken to. And it's like, you take with a grain of salt what some people, make a mountain out of, And,
I hear what you're saying. I hear. Yeah, I salute everybody that's doing it. To be clear about it.
This is the spot but this is the spot to be real about it to me. And I feel like some of the people reading the comments, it seemed like some of the people are not really here for realism. Like they want it to be like a love fest, and they put forth the idea that we just want to talk about the music, and it's like, okay, I can see that, and I could talk about the music all day, but I mean,
yeah, there's a part about this. You could say this about any, I guess, idol or very popular person. There is a segment of it that it's and I say this in respect, hero worship, saintlyhood. And I get that. I can understand that. I mean, being particularly in America and how things are presented to us, and, particularly I think in the 80s, these guys are as seen as gods to us. Like because we didn't have the internet. So you only saw them in their most shining light. The presentation was always on point. So yeah, you sort of romanticize these people in a sense.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I'm trying to be, sympathetic, not necessarily empathetic. I mean, I can't help the fact that this is somebody I dealt with on a daily basis for years at a time. Mm-hmm. So, it's the only light that I could see him in is the one that that he showed me.
We don't see the side of Prince where if you probably messed up something, he might have got at you a little bit. We don't see that part. We just see.
I think I think, to be honest, anybody who really has some idea about who he was, even as a person who just did work. Mm-hmm. I think most people know that he had a lot of discipline, mm-hmm. and was a strong band leader. I think anybody who's really interested can tell that that it was it was not a regular grind. This is somebody who was, I mean, if you're a builder of worlds, every nook and cranny, every coordinate, every note. I think that even the average person, if they're a Prince fan, they realize that it was a greater level of science going on than your average superstar.
Okay.
I would think so. I mean, I don't think anybody would look at. Let's see. Let me pick somebody good. I guess
it's easy for a friend. It's easy for a fan not to think that, though. I guess not to say they don't know it, but just don't want to, because someone just look at Prince, right? He was shining on so many different levels. It's easy to sort of just I want to focus on these aspects of him.
I suppose you're right, man. Because I guess I get lost in my own perception of the situation because the stardom didn't really mean anything, to us. It was more about the collaborative aspect of it, just the chance to get to work with him, and so I guess when it's what you do. Or if everybody's on the same page and trying to get the same thing accomplished, it's, all that romanticism kind of goes away and it's time for, blood, sweat, and tears, Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe you're right. It's entirely possible that they don't really think about that.
Yeah, you just said the stardom of Prince. And I don't forget, Prince was a motherfucking superstar. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. and it's interesting. I'm going to ask you, with him being a superstar, how so you said you guys just didn't see, or did you get over that? Was he a superstar to you before you met him, or go ahead.
There's no time there. I mean, when you're working for him, there's no time for idol worship. It's not even a constructive headspace to be in, because if you are lucky enough to be within that circle, you're there for what you can contribute. Mm. You know what I mean? It's Prince proved in a very short time as an artist, coming up, that he didn't really need nobody else around to make it happen. And then the more I start to put together just from listening to interviews of other people, it's really between from what I can tell, Controversy and 1999 are almost completely done without collaborating with anybody. Nobody was in the studio. I think I heard Matt Fink say that 1999 was done when he heard it, the record. So much that he did, not in secret, but just it's I'm not sure how to exactly put it. but somebody with people who, I mean, I guess it's people do it with screenplays and whatnot. I guess you build worlds, you build environments, and then you cast people in it, I suppose. So maybe it's, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it's, and I don't know if you know this, Michael, but Michael Dean and I are giant comic book fans. I think it's like a person who is writing and drawing a book, they know exactly what they see. And they have the skill to execute that. And translating that to Prince, he heard these sounds in his head. And he was proficient enough to say, you know what, I don't need to call so-and-so. Right. I'll go ahead and do this myself and do what I want to hear. And that's right. Rare.
Yes, in the music business it is, but I'm just saying that reality is lost on any fans who don't delve into the idea of, well, how does it come to be? I mean, with Michael Jackson, pretty much, everybody knows Quincy Jones, had something to do with it, I'm not sure they can quantify exactly, but they know that MJ did not work alone.
Right.
And it's been said before that out of the big three, out of Michael and Madonna and Prince, only Prince could be locked in a studio for about 3 hours, by himself and emerge, come out the door with a hit record. He really didn't need anybody to engineer, to play, to run the outboard gear. I watched Prince run the SSL by himself many times. He was great and brilliant, but to really understand the skill set that this dude had, you could only if you had a chance to see it, could you really even,
Yeah, that's interesting.
Get to it. Yeah. It's like I would be in his office sometimes talking to him about something, and the phone would ring and he'd be talking to the engineer downstairs and telling him what effects to turn down, and to what coordinates, what numbers. Like, turn the Kepex down by 2 notches, do this, do that, drive that vocal up to about, not even, he's in his office. Like, photographic memory of what the outboard gear was, what the effect chain was. And then the guy would, do that and drop a cassette in his little mailbox outside his door. And, Prince would listen to it and make sure all the revisions were correct. It's just, he had so much aptitude for every aspect of what it took to make music. And I guess as brilliant as they think he was even much more.
Yeah. See, and I hope I was thinking about this. We had talked to Dwayne Tudal last week or week before, and he was talking about his books, and I had revisited some stuff he was writing. And, it's about the process of being in the studio with Prince, and engineers would say kind of what you're saying. And I was like, you know what? And I'm saying this to you, Michael, you got to witness that and participate in that firsthand. Most people in the world will never, ever get to see that process, but you actually got to see that process, man. It blows my mind. I'm just thinking about, like, damn, as great as Prince is, and he is fantastic, like you just said, if we could actually see him construct a song from the beginning to the end, I bet you that is such a mind-blowing thing to just to hear him, whatever he may start with is, the drum machine loop or something, and him just playing something and just kept adding pieces, and then, Michael B, can you play this? And Sonny, can you do?
It's kind of, my first couple of recording sessions with him, it was just him and I, and I think it was 2 songs that ended up on Elisa Fiorillo's debut solo record. I think the record was called I Am.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was 2 songs. The one was called Ooh, This I Need, and the other one was called Love's No Fun. And it was just me and Prince, and I guess probably Femi Jaya was the engineer on that session. And Prince played piano, I played the drums, then we went into the control room. And the whole time, I mean, we didn't really know each other that well. So this is how we were getting to know each other. In the studio, I'd hang out, watch him, he went, from instrument to instrument in the control room and just, while holding a conversation, finishing this track,
Wow.
And the engineer was just kind of sitting over to the side, in case Prince needed him to do anything. So, I mean, that was an early experience for me. I was like, wow, so this is how it's done.
What is his demeanor like during that kind of stuff? Like happy or just concentrated or?
If he was, if it demanded more of him, he would work by himself. Like really, like if it's, I know that he liked to record vocals by himself a lot. And I think that just has something to do with like just the level of drama,
Mm-hmm.
It's just like maybe I really feel like he was even a performer in the studio, like when he was recording his vocals. I mean,
I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Prince is his delivery, his attitude. It's like I think that to have somebody watching you, like to do it in front of thousands of people is one thing. To do it in front of one dude,
right,
is another. I could see that being disarming.
Very more intimate, I suppose.
Yeah. So, I never really saw him. Every once in a while, if he had a good vocal kind of going, like if the band was recording together, sometimes he'd just, stay there at the piano or wherever and kind of finish up this vocal that was going pretty good. But a lot of the time he'd do them without us around. But, and when it got to be the most fun was when the NPG, when we were all in the studio cutting together. That was nothing beat that because everybody was so proficient. And, that band was just magic in the studio, which is, and it's also it's a big credit to our ability because I don't think he had really done a whole lot of that prior to us getting, in the organization. Like, I think that he would have people come in and overdub, but he would start a lot of things on his own. And I think that what we really did was, give him a chance to not have to do so much heavy lifting, Like, if you got a drummer and a bass player who can play, mm-hmm. At a metronomic level, if you got a band that really knows how to listen to each other, and it was just I don't know how it exactly happened. I guess with Diamonds and Pearls, that was the first time Tommy and Sonny and I cut directly with Prince, and that kind of set the pace, I think, for most of that early NPG tracking.
Man, I can't imagine what that was like.
Like Cream, like that's all of us playing together. Like
really?
Like Levi, Kirk's playing the like the drum samples, the 808 and all that. That was Kirk in the room next to me.
This right
here.
Yeah,
that's Kirk playing that cowbell and that. Yeah, it's what you're hearing is a live band in a recording session.
How long did it take for it to get to this? You know what I mean? Like, how many times did you guys have to sit there and how did it even start? Did he give you guys like, okay, let's start with this? And
yeah, I gotta imagine he was probably on guitar playing rhythm. So was Levi. I mean, Barbarella, we were all there. I mean, Rosie was the only person who was not. And he came in after he finished his vocals. I'm sure he figured out where he wanted her to sing. So their situation took a little bit more planning, but getting the rhythm tracks down, mm-hmm. I mean, pretty much he just kind of played what he played, and Sonny caught on to it. I mean, there was so little conversation because everybody was so intuitive, And
wow.
I think the only thing he said to me was he said. He said, play more like Charlie Watts, like the drummer from the Rolling Stones. He said, Prince literally said, play like Charlie Watts when he was good.
Hilarious.
And what's messed up is I knew exactly what he meant. Because there is a difference between the way Charlie Watts played in the 60s and the 70s. Like, it's different. Like, Prince wanted me to play more like Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street. Like, and less like, what is the record I'm thinking about? It's one of those Stones records in the 60s. I knew stylistically what he was after. So I just, I made the adjustment and we kept moving. I don't think we cut that song. There's probably 2 takes in the vault, So we just did that and moved on to the next, whatever it was. I think that day, let me think. It's possible that was also the day that we cut Jughead. And probably something else. I mean, first off, to get that many people together to do anything, takes an immense amount of scheduling. So once he had us all in place, we juice it. We do as much as we could.
Talk to me. You just mentioned something I think is important, and you said the band where like you guys knew your music history. You guys knew the same reference points, I guess, sort of say. So you could hear what they're starting to get into and know, like, oh, okay, I see where y'all going with that. And like he's being able to call out this particular style of playing that another musician does, and you understood that and can jump into that. Like so some parts, and I say this with love, I wonder sometimes the Revolution, the players may have had different reference points that Prince may have gotten hip to or knew about, but some of the other reference points I think that Prince had that leaned more into funk or jazz, something I wonder if it was a different level of playing that or understanding that the guys from Oakland understood and could, okay, you going with this. And the same way with you guys, like, okay, this is what you're trying to do. Yeah. Say no moreness of it, I guess.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, really, I like to think that, I know that Wendy and Lisa bonded with Prince over like Joni Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And and it's evident in the ways that he would collaborate with them that they were after these, wide, colorful tones and harmonies. And with us, everything turned into a kind of a rock forward, like a rock funk forward sort of group, I mean, it's obviously Diamonds and Pearls was meant to be, kind of a pop record, like an introduction to, this new band. And I think that it was on purpose that the material was so easy to get to. You know what I mean? Mm. I mean, after Graffiti Bridge, which was all over the place, and, the Batman record and LoveSexy and all that. I mean, it was, which I love all of that. I think that, I think that LoveSexy is a really underrated record, but I also think that, there's a lot of Prince's fans didn't like the fact that he was starting to quote unquote preach, or he was too preachy, but as a work, I mean, if you understand what it took for him to make LoveSexy, it's, I mean, from what I understand, is after he got Warner Brothers to cancel the release of the Black Album, they gave him like 3.5 weeks to give them something else.
Yeah.
So, like, he had to, some of those songs on LoveSexy, I think, had been, worked on before in some form, way, shape, or form. Obviously, When Two Are in Love was on both records.
I know was the ball.
Yeah, he had a head start. He just had to get things together. But it's still, I remember hearing a story about some engineer they called in to mix the record, and he couldn't do it because he'd be going along, and all of a sudden something on one of the tracks would change to something else. Like Prince would just do these random, well, seemingly random overdubs on these tracks. He ran out of space. He wasn't recording on digital yet. So he'd run out of space to do overdubs, and then he'd just start putting things on tracks that already had stuff on them. And so it would just jump out, and the engineer would be like, "What's that?" And have to chase the sound down.
Interesting.
And whoever the guy was, he's just like, "I can't mix this thing. You know, I don't know where everything's at." So the dude rolled out, and I think Prince essentially mixed that record himself because nobody else could.
Could decipher his stuff.
It's just,
wow, that's wild.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
I mean, I don't even remember really what we were talking about exactly, but anyway.
No, it was good.
Yeah.
I was sort of just flowing with things. Well, speaking of the bands and things like that, here we are in 2022. A lot of things we've, I think, so the last time we talked was during pandemic, more pandemic times and quarantine, and cats wasn't really out playing and doing different things. Now I see people are starting to get back out there. I see the NPG been doing some shows and stuff. I was going to ask you, as a founding member, I don't know if that's the right word to say, but as an OG member of the new. No,
I was there. Actually, I was there right before Tommy and Sonny and those guys got in. So
you know, so basically, saying, I started this. No,
no,
I pioneered this, Mike. Come on now.
No. I'm not saying that. But I do feel like you
was down from day one.
Yeah, I mean, before it was even called NPG, I was on the nude tour. So there
you go. Talk your talk, Mike. Talk your talk.
It is what it is, man. I don't know.
Well, with that said,
stick my chest out. I'm just saying.
No, you deserve it. You put in the work. With that said,
I was 19 years old, getting grilled every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Getting grilled.
Once it got serious, what am I going to do? I'm flanked by Miko and Levi, who've been there already for years.
Right.
You know, Fink. It's like, I just kind of just. Yeah, but they had their thing together. I had to rise to the challenge, you know.
And you were replacing Sheila E., right?
Yeah, not only that.
That's crazy.
I was exactly.
Like, who is this kid?
Oh man!
All right, Prince. Man, so with all of that said, what's the relationship with the band members today?
Well, which you mean? Just any of them?
Well, I would say, like, when I think of the NPG out playing, the first thought I'm thinking, I'm not being messy. The drummer gonna be Michael B. I mean, you don't even question.
Okay,
there's no question. Like, so I'm just asking in terms of how are you? How's everybody? Is things good? Everybody's got to do their thing, what they're doing. But I'm asking as a fan, asking, like, y'all speak? You know, people cool?
Well, sure. No, I don't have any beef with anybody. I mean, but I'm also kind of fastidious about the way I like to work. And I've just kind of reached an age and a place in my life where I'm only really interested if I have some say about how things are going to go.
Okay.
And, and I'm not singling anybody out. I'm just saying that the people who want to pursue these, the people who want to pursue performing out as NPG, if they should do it the way they want to do it, I already have a job. I'm the musical director with Soul Asylum. So I don't really, I don't.
This is a business, and you ain't.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right, man. You funny. Just the long and short of it. If I see any of those dudes or they call me, it's all love. I don't tell anybody how to earn their money. And for me, right now, the place I'm at in my life with my tenure with Prince and so on and so forth is that I am not inspired to go out there and do it. I don't, it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, other than the fact that just emotionally, I'm still all over the place about just Prince being gone, period. So that's more than work. You know what I mean? It requires a lot of, I guess it requires a lot of something that I just don't have. I don't need that in my life, really.
So you don't need it.
Yeah, I would have to. I'm at the point where I don't just do things for the point, just to do them. I mean, I'm where I'm at for a good reason. That's all. I guess I'm trying to say. I don't. That is not something that is. I feel. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not betterment for me. It's almost like being stuck in a state of arrested development.
Now, are you talking about just like playing Prince's music? It's making you feel a certain kind of way, or
to perform Prince's music without Prince is it's for me. There's nothing in it for me.
Okay.
I mean, other than, a lot of weird feelings and, sweat equity, sure. But there's no glory in it. There's no, it's remedial. And the reality is it's never going to be the same without him.
Got you. I have to put myself to think from your perspective. You were playing with him, creating this stuff. I can imagine how that. I'm just a listener. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like your thing with the connection to it is so deep, right? I guess I can only imagine how you must feel or think.
Yeah, and I'm not speaking for. I mean, that's just me. It's right. Like people. Kirk and I spoke before they did the celebration performance. We talked about doing it. At the time, I wasn't sure that I would even have the time in my schedule. But the longer I thought about it, it was just like, it's not something. I could see how much work was going to be put into it. And I felt like, it's like going back and taking your ACT or something, your SAT test. It's like, I've done it. I've accomplished that in life. And to go back and to play like the very first public show by the NPG, like just the head trip of that first off,
Yeah.
And, I got to hear some things prior to it. Like, they had some mixes roughed up and it just kind of took me to a place of like, I feel like when I heard what we were going to be doing, like the band developed into something much stronger than that after. I might have chosen a different show to do, maybe. But I'm trying not to say too much because I'm not supposed to say too much about anything, really. But
okay.
But it was just how I felt. I don't really, keeping it 100, I haven't been in Paisley Park since Prince passed. And the idea of doing it, it doesn't bring up, I don't have strong positive feelings about doing that.
So if they ever came to you and said, "Hey, Mr. Bland, we're doing Diamonds and Pearls, symbol, whatever, yada yada, we want to get your involvement, get you on camera, or your thoughts," would you be willing to consider that, or you're like just not into it, or? y'all act like this is like United States government military secrets.
But it is the it is going to be on the internet. It's going to live.
I understand.
Long after I go. So you have to understand why I have to be fastidious about how I respond to certain things.
I got it. Shout out to Prince. A brother who can have everyone like this after he's gone. Salute to that brother, man. A lot of respect.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, everything that comes my way, I consider it. I think about it. I'm not sure what it would take, but I mean, one big thing for me, and I don't know if it'll ever happen, and I haven't been in touch with her in recent years, is I for that band to come back together without Rosie, it's I can't fathom that.
Such mystery about Rosie from an outsider's point of view, but I understand.
Yeah, I think people are just careful to not talk out of turn.
Yeah,
and
respect.
And just speak on other people's business. I can only speculate at this time, how she's doing. But I have been in contact with her daughter off and on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was that? Oh, somebody was just asking about that young lady. What's her name again?
Latoya.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Salute to Latoya.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I don't want to say like, oh, well, no, they can just close the book on it. I'll never, et cetera, et cetera. It really depends on the context, the conditions, and okay. How much of my life I have to give up to do it. Is it also a matter of money? Well, sure, money is always an issue. I mean, but it's not the principal issue. Otherwise, I'd be out there trying to get every dollar I could get my hand on. I'd be out there, if the money was that important to me.
Interesting. Well, and I was going to ask you too. In going back to doing shows like this, or the need for this, do you see in terms of, from the fan base and the admirers of Prince, how that is important, or there's a need for that kind of thing?
For the band to be out performing and to keep Prince's legacy alive?
Yeah, and there's a lot of these, tribute band things I'm starting to see. Matter of fact, well, actually, it's not related to this, but I see that Sonny's supposed to be here in Seattle doing a show, but I don't think it's a Prince thing. But he must be in some other band or something.
It could be with. He's been doing a lot of work with Corey Wan.
Maybe that's what it was.
It could be that. But Sonny has been. We don't always know where Sonny's at and what he's doing. It's for a little while. I don't remember what year it was. I think Sonny and Mike Scott were like at something with Lauryn Hill, had like an open audition for new musicians. This was years ago. It's like I didn't hear about it till like a couple years after. Oh, Sonny was like, "Oh yeah, man, me and Mike Scott were both there, man. We went out there, she's funky on guitar, man."
Hilarious.
Like, really? When did you guys hang out with Lauryn Hill? So. I don't know. Yeah, Sonny could be up to anything in Seattle, I suppose.
Gotcha. We're getting back to sort of about the importance, or do you see the fans' need for things like this though, or does that seem kind of weird to you? Or?
No, it doesn't seem weird to me. It's just, man, you catching me on a day when I'm having a hard time, man. Because I want to kind of let go and just sort of just go there, but it's like I think that I've allowed the fact that that people are so touchy about things.
Don't let the comments shake you from speaking your respectful opinion.
Well, I think we can all agree that the revolution is the most celebrated and considered like the seminal, era and the band, so on and so forth, by multitudes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainstream for sure.
Yeah, mainstream for sure. And it's I know that the NPG has its own audience, but it's also partly the way that a lot of these things that have gone on. I mean, I think the NPG is doing a service to the fans, but I think that often when it comes time to do these events on television and so on and so forth, we're always passed over. Like I think that even industrially, I think Warner Brothers has really focused on juicing the '80s period. Like doing everything they can to with the remasters and the packages and whatnot. I really think that the NPG has not been shown the appropriate level of respect, considering we tracked more with Prince than anybody. Mm. I mean, on a creative level, he really, gave us a lot of room that he didn't give anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I know the argument is always, well, the band was great, but, Prince's best material really was written in the 80s. And, I've heard all of that. And I don't know if that's a valid argument or not about Prince's writing. I haven't decided yet if I agree with that or not. But
I think people confuse popular with best as well when they make these statements.
Well, that's okay. Yes.
The 80s stuff is probably more popular, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's better or more mature or, his level of playing is different. But go ahead.
Sure. I think just, we went to a soulful place, like a funky place. Mm. And that's for some people more, also it's the other thing that, I guess it's the idea that pop is some way better than R&B or soul or funk. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like there's a thing, like if it's too black, then it's not pop.
Right. Or now go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
I was going to say now probably if it's not black, it ain't pop in terms of the sound. But I hear what you're saying.
I'd say that now. I mean,
right.
I'm hearing 808s on country records now.
Right. And the other thing too with Prince, when people say stuff like that, yeah. But besides from the music, Prince also like culturally, his look drove the look for a long time. Like, his style was the style to have at a certain point. All of that plays into the perception of how people saw him. My argument to say, if you'd have took the 90s music Prince and had shifted and switched it with the 80s, but kept all the other stuff about the 80s, he might even been bigger. Because he was a far more developed musician in the 90s than he was in the 80s. And the stuff that he was able to pull off. If it had been, and if it was on that big of a platform when he had the full attention of the world, and he dropped Cream or something, it would have been all over.
You're probably right. I think I agree with that. But I don't think he was ready to have a band like the NPG, especially with Sonny. It's like you're talking about him having his idol playing in his band, Mm-hmm. It took some time I think it took some time for him to get to a place as a musician before he was ready to really have Sonny around. I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, we were rehearsing, this was probably 1994 or so. And I used to get to rehearsal early and just kind of hang around. And one day Prince was like, I don't like my guitar sound. Sonny, can you fix this? And so Sonny and Prince's guitar tech worked on Prince's tone for probably an hour. And Prince came back and Sonny was on stage, just smashing it, just killing it. And I saw the look on Prince's face like, And I think something in him was like, that dude is, like Sonny's rude with it anyway, And I think it just something ran through Prince. For the next few days, I'd show up early. He'd be in the soundstage already, like at rehearsal, like warming up, like playing, working things out. Like I think it inspired him is what happened.
Wow.
And I think he could be inspired by almost anything, but we know that Sonny inspired him on a real, like a deep level. And for Sonny to just grab the guitar like that and be killing, and he's been playing bass for the last, he hasn't even touched guitar really.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Without being intentionally or accidentally disrespectful to anyone, is it possible that between the Revolution and the NPG was more of a group with, his actual musical peers, whereas, because he aspired to play like Sonny or in Sonny's league. And again, I'm not being a dick, but with Revolution, clearly he was far ahead of everybody else. But when he got with the NPG, it was more like, okay, this is a more equal or balanced playground for me to do my thing, and these cats can see what I'm doing and keep up like that.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And it's like, I'm not taking anything away from anybody. Anybody who could work musically with Prince for and keep your job for over 6 months, for even that, if you can't keep up, you'd be gone within the first week or so, to be honest. But what it took to run at his level, you have to be a master in training or a master, just to keep up. And then we're talking about, well, what do you think? We'll play something. Okay. Well, what would you change? Then he's asking opinions about, he gave us a lot of room to express ourselves. I'm not really any kind of soloist on the drums. I'm mainly a pocket player, but he was always just kind of stepping on my toes, saying, "Go, go, get it." And he's obviously, Sheila, it's second nature for her. I'm not that kind of drummer. I'm really like from the school of like just play solid, play the right stuff. Like I've never been like a flashy sort, but like stuff like Shush, for instance. It's like, okay, like Prince, like, hey, but you hear these hits, fill these up. He wouldn't really tell you what to do, but he'd tell you like when it was your time to do something, And that's also kind of like with Diamonds and Pearls. Like the first time we cut it, one of the only differences between the two takes is that I didn't play that gigantic drum fill in the middle of the bridge. Prince was like, that was good, and gave us a couple of things to change, and then he said, oh, that hole in the arrangement, on the bridge, put something in there. Okay. And I was probably, I guess I was 19 by then. So it's like the whole time we're cutting, I'm like, what am I going to do? Wow. This is, I get to the point in the arrangement, and I do what I do, and great, fantastic. Like he liked when you took initiative, and he was always interested to see what you might try. So
let me ask you about that song, that recording which you described. So you guys said the first take. How long had y'all been working on that song? Is this all the same night when you first started on the song, or had you started another day earlier, or had you heard of it before? How did that?
No, and literally we took about 20 minutes in the soundstage. We were rehearsing with MC Flash to be the ladies' night house band at the Glam Slam. So we were at Paisley all week that week, just rehearsing, just getting the music together. Prince caught us as we were leaving the building. It was like, I got an idea for a song. Can you guys hold up for a minute? So we went back to the instruments, and inside of 20 minutes, we pretty much had Diamonds and Pearls. Like, he was just kind of something like this, you know, Sonny, can you play this? You know, well, where should we go from here? And Sonny was like, oh, I'd go here. Okay, great. You know, he's showing Barbarella the chords. Barbarella's coming up with auxiliary, like, you know, other parts. I mean, it set the template for the next 4 years. And that's how we were able to record so quickly and record so much. That took what? Inside of probably 90 minutes, we had it start to finish.
Gee. Wow. And then so you record that night or whatever it was, when's the next time you hear that song again?
Oh man. I probably after he finished with Rosie. After he added her, it was all over. We started a lot of things, and we didn't hear the finished result until closer to when the record was coming out, unless it was something he considered to be just like, oh, you got to hear this, you know, and that happened often too, you know, or he'd play us something that we had nothing to do with, and just ask us like, what do we think, you know?
What's a song like that you remember? Like,
oh, Insatiable.
Wow.
I was like, whoa. And I remember a friend of mine telling me when the record came out, he's like, any other artist who, like, if Duke Ellington had done Insatiable, there'd be awards and credits and, you know, but because it's Prince and he's always so ambitious, people take it for granted.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that he was so, he had such an embarrassment of riches as an artist, you know, and such vision and such a work ethic. You can't really appreciate what it took to do what he did, because he seemed to do it effortlessly. You know what I mean? It just would drop him. Here you go. Here, take this. You know, I think this is pretty cool. You know, just incredible, you know, just incredible work all the time.
And so just kind of just going with the conversation. So in terms, like when you guys are playing, like you mentioned before, sometimes he was motivated. He'd be there early, kind of warming up and all ready to rock. What was, if you came into rehearsal and you saw him like that, what would that tell you about what you could expect for that day? Would you be like, oh, okay, we're going to really go down today, or man, maybe he's going to be really extra on us today? Or
no, there was really no there were no barometers, man. You just dealt with whoever showed up. You know,
I like the way you said that.
I mean, that's the truth of it. It's just, I mean, I don't. Sorry about that.
Paisley Park. I never heard you.
I don't. I don't mean to. I don't mean to imply that he was schizophrenic. It's just anything you ever heard about a Gemini, that pretty much was Prince. You know what I mean? It's like there was always a duality going on, and it was impossible to, you know, predict. Like you stop trying. You just sit and you wait and you see who comes through the door, and then you know whether or not you can relax, or if you gotta be particularly, you know, quiet and sort of just about your own business, you know.
Stay out of the radars.
Kinda, yeah. Like some people had a better sense for when to be around and when not, but we didn't really have that option. Being band members, you know, it's like we were going to deal with him, you know, every day, no matter what, unless he was out of town or something, you know.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean,
these So that's the thing. Are they rehearsals or are they recording sessions? Like, are you
mostly in rehearsals where you could have the biggest differential in his attitude or his behavior. In the studio, generally, it was a different kind of focus. Like when because also the difference could be, exhibition versus creation. Like if we're rehearsing, we're running through something to perfect it. It's a different attitude than when you're trying to find something. You know what I mean? Like when Prince was in explore mode, he was the most patient person possible, because he's, it's a process. I mean, I guess they're all processes, but in the studio, the only time he'd get impatient is if people started making too many mistakes, And generally, we usually got the track between the first and second take. By the second take, usually we had it, and I was very careful when to ask for like a third take, because that would always upset him a little bit. Like, it's good, we got it, Like, I'll use that. I'm like, if I could just do it one more time, like it was like pulling teeth to get Prince to let me cut, to let the band cut another take. Like once he felt he had it, we were just supposed to be cool with it. But a couple times he said I was worse than he was. Like, you're more of a perfectionist than me. And sometimes it just be no. Just order me out of the studio. Nope, it's good. I got it. Go watch. Oprah's on. Go watch TV. Oprah's on. That was a big one around Fantasy Park.
That's funny.
Mike, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a curveball here. You mentioned earlier when you were doing Diamonds and Pearls, it was you and Sonny and Tommy playing live. Years later, just by happenstance, the three of you ended up playing with the Jonas Brothers. How was that experience for you compared to that playing with those same familiar partners? Well,
I mean, it was it was an orchestrated move, definitely. Sonny was the last one to join up. He wasn't supposed to be in that band. Barbarella and I played on the record, but the guitar player had been David Ryan Harris from John Mayer's band. He played on the record, but he didn't want to do the tour because John Mayer decided he was going out at the same time. So this was before we took pictures for the record. We found out he wasn't going to make it. So Sonny showed up for the photo shoot in New York. They hadn't even heard him play a note. They just took it on, They're like, well, we need a new guitar player. And me and Barbarella looked at each other. And John Fields leaned in and said, Sonny? Should we get Sonny? Then me and Barbarella were like, yeah, okay. It's how do I put it exactly? Sonny is kind of a wild card, man. He's a musical force. He doesn't take crap from anybody. So you got to be careful what kind of environment you put Sonny in sometimes, because where a lot of people might just kind of, fold, Sonny will fight, and you're not just going to treat him any kind of way. None of us really, but Sonny will, he'll take it to the streets. None of us are patsies or anything like that. We all know what we're worth, and we know how to stand up for ourselves. But let the wrong person say the wrong thing to Sonny, it's going to be a situation.
Basically, Sonny's the right one.
He's from the north side. He don't play. You don't do Sonny any kind of way. So all things considered, we still went. Well, he's the best possible choice. I don't know anybody who could learn the music faster and come in better prepared. So you know, we we recommended Sonny. Sonny showed up for the photo shoot. We got into rehearsal at Center Staging out in L.A., and Sonny came and just brought it right away. Nick Jonas fell in love with Sonny first day. You know, so much so that when the band was too expensive for him to afford, Sonny was the only one of us he kept. Wow. So he got a bunch of other dudes, a bunch of LA cats. Sonny's still in there fucking with him. so you know, but yeah, that was Barbarella and I were supposed to be involved in that project. Sonny was a Hail Mary, and he made all the difference, man. He was mad. We played the Letterman show, and Sid and Felicia were just, man, they were just, their faces was just scrunched up the whole time. The guitar players in the Letterman band. Mm-hmm. They were just watching Sonny. So.
All right.
Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
All right.
Oh, we're not done.
Okay, no. Hey, listen, that's not even that much of a curveball. I mean, Sonny is all. I think everybody knows that. I read some quotes that I had never seen from Prince. It said something about like, well, when we were young, we thought Sonny was God. You know, and he told me stories about. I've probably told that story before about him and Andre, you know, watching Sonny through the storm windows in the basement, you know, at his mom's house with a pig nose amp. You know, like a mattress with no box springs. Sonny chain smoking in his mom's basement. Got the wah-wah. Prince was like, it was better than watching TV. You know,
that's crazy. That's just it's like, yeah, got one of the bigger homies that they all looked up to, and brought him on. You know, years later, and there was a reason why everybody looked up to him in the streets.
Absolutely,
it was cold.
Absolutely. Sonny, everybody learned from Sonny. I heard about Sonny years before I got a chance to meet him.
Wow.
He finally came through Bunkers, and we got to play together, and it was just like, wow, man. Like, we got a little thing. And I'm not even sure how Prince got to that. He must have, well, it's hard to say how he knew. I mean, we hadn't seen him around, but Tommy and Sonny were playing with the Steels at the time that I was playing at Bunkers with Dr. Mambo's Combo. So I think Prince was just like kind of watching everything to see like where he was going to go next and who he was going to take with him. So we sort of all just kind of he slowly acquired everybody.
Speaking on band members again, alternate world, fantasy world, Michael B., the master Prince band to you, just what your picks would be for your personal favorites of whatever you want to quantify it. Who's that band that you put together of Prince band members? Come on now,
man. Why so much pressure today, man?
I was reeling you in all shows, relax,
and
hit you with the.
Well, here's the thing. First off, no matter what, I need Levi in there somewhere.
Okay.
Bass or guitar, I don't keys if he wants.
You got to put him somewhere. You got to decide where he's at.
Oh, I got to decide where. What?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Well, then I'm going with I need Levi and Miko on guitar.
Okay.
Sonny on bass.
Okay.
Okay. Although, I mean, Mark is cold, man. I love the way Mark plays bass. But Sonny and I, we just we have just a symbiotic sort of. We make a sound together that I can't make with any other bass player.
Gotcha.
Wow. On keyboard players, it's funny because I really dig Fink for a different reason than I dig Barbarella. And I never really got a chance to work with Lisa, but I'd be really interested. I'd be interested in that. You know, I mean, I've got all of the Wendy and Lisa records and whatnot, so I know what they can do on their own. You know, separate from Prince's influence, and obviously they're proficient. You know, And that now, I guess the main issue I got is some of the people that some of the people that I'm choosing are people I've worked with, but there are other people that I haven't that I kind of would want to, you know. I'd love to play with Wendy, you know, see how funky she really is, you know. But if you're talking about what I know will satisfy my spirit, then I need Levi and Miko on guitar. I mean, they're both from Oakland, but they play different, you know. On keys though, it's like Barbarella is so smooth, but with Fink, I never got to work with Fink in the studio. But I recently he subbed for Barbarella in my band Urban Classic, this band I put together in Minneapolis.
Okay.
To play what I want to play rather than what some of the people in this town want to play. But Fink on the Nude tour, it was like, I mean, but it was like falling off a log for him. He had been in the band from the beginning. He was so proficient and just so like just tight and straight up and like together with it, you know.
Is Larry Bird, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Fink was, man, he was incredible. But so was Barbarella. And Barbarella had different things demanded of him, you know, with the NPG. Like, we had moved heavily into sampling, and like, you know, he had to play and hit these samples at the right time. And, you know, go get the purple axe with the smoke coming out of it and fly from up, you know, flying and whatnot. Like, Barbarella really had a lot to do, you know.
That's crazy. And still be playing badass, like on point and everything. And
still be killing it. So, I mean, it was funny though, sometimes when they make him fly, the dude who was controlling the truss sometimes would drop him too close to the keyboards, and I'd see his boots just hitting the keys on the way down, and he's looking up like, "What are you doing to me, man?" Just random samples getting it. Yeah, exactly. Just stomping the keys, man.
Hilarious.
But Eric Leeds, definitely. Eric and Bliss. I told Eric the first time I met him, I said, I was 16. I wanted to be in Madhouse. He's like, he said, well, we could have used you. Where were you at? So, I mean, and also I'd say probably, you know, just to clarify, my favorite of the bands was really like the Sign of the Times, LoveSexy, period. Like, of the bands I wasn't in, that group to me, you know, it's like they had everything. I saw Sign of the Times at the Uptown Theater probably 20 times.
Wow.
Yeah. They played it every weekend.
That is a classic.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
It's an incredible group. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to say, I was watching the Sign of the Times New Year's Eve show that they put out, you know, and I was watching that last part with Miles. When Miles Davis comes out, and, you know, Prince just breaks the music down, and you can just, Miko, man, is like jamming the entire time. He doesn't stop. And at first I'm like kind of airplane with him in my house. Like, I was like, damn, Miko's a fool. He's just chicken. But I'm like, my hand is tired. Like, this brother, he was still playing, and still, it was so dope as hell. I was like, that guy's a machine, man. Like, I don't know how he does it. It's crazy.
No, Miko, like, and the other thing I noticed is that Prince very rarely would tell either of those guys what to play at all. Like, Levi would just come up with parts, and Prince would look back like, yeah, all right, that's it. You know, same with Miko. Miko and Levi, they just, it seemed like they just did what they wanted. You know, it was crazy. And it's like, wow. And for me, being, you know, the new guy, you know, I'm trying to see how things operate, you know, and plus I'm 19, so I ain't never been nowhere. Ain't never done nothing. I'm watching this happen, and it's almost like magic. It just, every night on 1999 on the Nude tour, when they do the guitar break at, during the outro and whatnot. Like Miko never played the same thing twice.
Wow.
And neither did Prince. They just kind of, they get together and they just funk,
Mm.
The reinvention of it just kind of kept you on the edge of your seat. I'm like, what are they gonna play this time? And always fucking.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's your band?
I'm saying if I had to take an entire group, yeah, I'll watch Sheila and Levi and Miko and Bonnie and yeah, why not?
Oh, you're not in this group playing?
That's
Stop
right.
playing.
This started out being who do I want to play with?
Yeah, stop
That's who I want to watch.
Try to switch it up on it.
Nah, you got to play tonight, man. You're not in the audience tonight. You're playing.
Lord. Well, no, I was okay. I mean, I was on the right track with Levi and Miko and Sonny for sure. I guess I don't want to pick between Barbarella and Fink. I want both. I can't do nothing without Rosie. She's the icing on the cake.
Okay.
I said Eric and Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do I need?
I guess that's it.
That's it for
Okay, now you just put something in my head again. See
what did I do?
Like, looking at your tenure in the organization here, you've played with Eric, you've played with my girl Candy, and you've played with Kathy Jensen and that group. What do you think?
Oh wow, all those horns. My favorite. I have to be 100% honest. Eric Leeds is like one of my favorite horn players, like ever. So I think I would probably take him and Bliss over any other combination of any of those other people.
I can't say I disagree with that.
I mean, they played so tight together, and it was not like a horn section. It was almost like they were another instrument in the band. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you get 5 people playing, it's a much less subtle set of circumstances. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't. Anyway, that's my choice. I go with Eric and Matt.
Mm.
Also,
go wrong with that.
I should mention also that I did a gig. I played with P-Funk in that must have been probably 1991. They had a gig at the Glam Slam in Minneapolis. And their drummer was double booked, and they tracked me down at Doug Nelson's house. Doug Nelson was the bass player with Dr. Mambo's Combo. He also played bass when Mavis opened for Prince on the Nude Tour. He was the bass player. Mm. And I was at his house for MC Flash rehearsal. And somebody from Paisley called there. They must have known we were going to be there. And said, George Clinton is looking for Michael. They need a drummer for the... I'm like, I've never been one of the true funketeers. I don't know that music backwards and forwards like some people do. But, they sent a cassette. I listened. I went to sound check. We played Night of the Thumposaurus people for probably 55 minutes. Man. George never showed up. He didn't show up until it was gig time.
That's wild.
So, but what tripped me out was Eric and Matt were on the gig. So I showed up to the Glam Slam, and I heard them rehearsing upstairs. And it was like, whoa. Nobody had told me they were going to be on the gig. I guess Eric wanted to do it. So they were up there like, writing charts and, putting things together. And, man, they tripped George out. George was like, because they hit, what song is it when they do the Looney Tunes? It's like all off time and everything. And George looked like, what? Like, I gotta hear that one more again. I mean, they messed George up. They were so tight. Man.
That's interesting, man. If they ever have a George Clinton movie, just off the what you just said, they should call it "Don't Give a Funk."
Don't give a funk.
Don't give a funk.
Good.
Ooh, that's hot. That's hot, man.
We need to trademark that.
Cut me my
good.
check.
Yep.
But
Don't give a funk. Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible experience. I couldn't see like being one of those people full time. It was crazy. I mean, Gary Scheider was yelling at everybody and hollering at Malia Franklin. Malia, if you don't,
wow, that would be a fly on the wall, man. That would be.
Oh
awesome.
man, in the diaper, and this is that sound check.
Wow. So we need that history, and we need to see these types of things, these stories, man. That's
I mean,
that's crazy.
Who else was in that band? Lil Roger. Roger Troutman's kid was playing keys in that band. Well, for that gig, for that P-Funk show at the Glam Sun. I'm trying to think. Cordell Boogie Massam was on bass. Blackbird McKnight was playing guitar. They brought their people, and it was hot. But I have to admit, my head was on swivel all night because I don't know that music, back and forth. That's a lot of. I mean, you just got to be. If you're not a true funketeer, that gig is. I don't even know how to explain. I couldn't relax. I just, so much going on around me, all this craziness, people in costumes and whatnot. And
that's a fascinating thing. It just sounds so fascinating. P-Funk.
I mean, I asked Blackbird, I'm like, when does it go back on Knee Deep after the second time you go to the and he was like, I can't remember, man. I've been playing it so long. And like during the show, like he figured it out like right before it was going to happen. He was like, "Oh, right here."
Wow.
And I happened to be looking. He's like, "Oh, okay, good, okay." Wow. So the whole night was like that. I was just like going on, innuendo and just glances and watching. Right. Okay, he's stepping to the mic. Something's happening here.
Yeah, that's such a connection. Like musicians have, because you understand the universe they're in, and you can feel it. And it's just instinctual. You look at him at the right time. He figured it out. But you're all in the right time. It's a weird thing, but it's so beautiful.
It can be. It can be a train wreck.
True.
But
when it works, it's godly. It's like God.
Yeah, they actually it's Gary Scheider came through Bunkers again a few years later, and Sonny and I were playing, and he tried to corner us in the kitchen to try to recruit us, and y'all know y'all need to come on, get on the mothership. Yeah. And he had he had somebody who worked for him was like, can I get your contact information? Like he was like trying to recruit me and Sonny, but I had heard way before that if you work for P-Funk, you get paid one way or another way.
Whoa. Okay.
And I'm like, you know what? I can't get down with it.
And you don't get to choose the way.
Oh, you get to choose the way, but it's like, they're talking about like you can either take this cash or you can take this goodie bag.
Lord.
Oh my God, that's a little too dank for me. I can't operate like that.
Yeah, they was gangsta. That was about as hood. Wow,
yeah, that's hood business, and I'm not cut out for that. I'm the first one to say I'm soft. I'm not hard like that.
Oh man, such history there, man.
Huh?
No room for the goodie bag.
It ain't my taste. I don't do that.
Hey, I feel you 100%.
It cracks me up.
Talking in code on Michael Dean's podcast today. Yeah, goodie bag.
Goodie bag. Well, we know. Lord. Man,
anybody who knows, they know. Anybody who knows.
Right. Recently, we're seeing a lot of these stories of accomplished, or I say accomplished in the sense a lot of these artists, they have a catalog. They have more than one album. They have a body of work. And now they're selling the catalogs.
Yeah.
They cashing their chips. They out the game. It seems like, I think Springsteen, didn't he do his?
Oh, man, Springsteen, Stevie Nicks, Christine McVie.
Chuck D just
Chuck sold his
stuff.
just now. Well, Chuck sold half of his, but yeah, he did it. A lot of people are doing it.
Yeah, so now I thought that was something hey, hold on, that was keep your master. Now we're seeing dudes cash and chip. Mike, I wanted to get your take on this. What do you think about this?
I think that I got so much to say on this one.
Take your
how
time,
to get it out.
preacher. Take your time.
No, I gotta cut to the chase, man. I'm sorry. My mind has been like hamburger meat today, man. Sorry. I'm usually a little more
You're good, man. Just stay out the goodie bag. That's all. I just fucking with you.
Listen, kids, crack is whack, kids. Wow. I think this has been coming. I mean, I think that as much as the music business at one point in time was a help, I think now it's kind of a hindrance. You know, I think that how do I cut to the chase here? I think the devaluation of music or intellectual property has been going on for some time now. YouTube. I just go on YouTube. It's like, okay, 7 million hits. You know, it translates into money for somebody, but not a whole lot. Mm-hmm. I think we're really just seeing it's just a reaction to the trend, which is set in motion, probably more than anybody else by the music business. Because if you can, how do I put it exactly? Other than for commercial use, I mean, really, where do you, how do you,
you sound like generate money?
Yeah, like how do you, generating income just for music's sake is almost, maybe it's even an archaic notion at this point, you know? I think that with streaming and the fact that a lot of people don't even feel like they should have to pay for music.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's evident in just, you know, the shape of things now. So, I mean, I want to give an educated response, but I don't really know the numbers. But I'd say that it makes sense to me, seeing the fact that people don't buy music as much as they used to. If you can find somebody who's willing to give you top dollar, you know, I mean, I know that there's, it's kind of, sort of, you know, it's just,
if I may,
yeah,
I think this really took or got accelerated when it was clear that musicians' catalogs, the back catalogs, weren't selling enough to sustain their lifestyle. And it's like, well, people aren't buying physical copies like they used to. Right. So if Primary Wave or whoever wants to, you know, cash me out, I'm taking it. You know, and a lot of people have done that. You know, a lot of the states of people have done that. And the problem with that is you're going to have a small group of people controlling everybody's timeless art and intellectual property, and that's a problem. And now the problem, started, the industry has always, and let's just be real here, the industry has always devalued the talent, the people who actually do the work and make the music. They've always been at the short end of the stick. And now this whole paradigm is something they put in motion 1,000 years ago.
Okay, so you agree with me that this has been coming?
Oh, God, yes. Okay. I saw it coming a mile away back when I decided to get into this area of law. I already saw it coming. And I'm not going to name names publicly, but we can talk off air, gentlemen. But recently, last week, a very, very popular artist contacted me and said, I wasn't paid off this 4 times platinum album. I said, really? Not a dime of royalties from it. I'm like, okay, we'll get into that. And the unfortunate reality is that is not an exception. That's the rule. So these knuckleheads in the buildings, the bean counters, the non-music people, I feel a rant coming. The non-music people have taken this area of art and just ruined it and fucked it up for everybody else. You know who you are. Yeah, I said it. Okay.
Yeah. Tell him, man. That's what I was trying to say. What he said, yeah. What he said.
Well, yeah.
I can't disagree with any of that. That's how I've seen it. It's been sort of the trend. I mean, we're there now. Like, I mean, I know that vinyl is making a resurgence, but it's not going to save everybody.
No.
Right.
No.
Will it be like with a lot of things, maybe 30 years from now, where media consumption has sort of evolved into this whole new space, and then all of this music somehow becomes super valuable again? There's another monetary style of commerce that comes alive that, yes, everybody wants to buy something in that now. And all of that music can be bought now again. There'll be so much money that these people are going to have. And the people who made that stuff, I hope they don't look back and like, wow, I sold this for 300 million. These guys are making 4 trillion. And I can't get a piece of that no more. Like, and the legacy goes forward from there, where you always think of Prince's music and Whitney's music associated with a cartoon character or something, because they own that and that's what they sold it to. And you never even think about like, well, he was actually a person back in the day. He couldn't have never been real, right? Like, I wonder when you just don't control the shit no more. Their legacy goes anywhere. And I'm just thinking now, a lot of people are selling this shit.
Well, yeah, and you'd think that Prince's career would be enough of a cautionary tale for any of these people, but he was a different type of dude. I mean, and I think that well, no, I can't even really say that. I was going to say that maybe Prince felt differently about his material. But no, not necessarily. But he had been making records since the late 70s. I think that his relationship to the creative process, or his creative process, I don't know. I'm talking out of my neck now, man. I was going somewhere where I thought that maybe Prince had a different, not viewpoint, but a different feeling about his catalog. And with his relationship with Warner Brothers, it's hard to say, because I think I saw him saying that the relationship he had with that label was mostly good. I think he said that himself, that it was the acrimony was later, but it had been mostly a satisfying relationship with them. But I think that was also prior to the fact of him really understanding how much money they were making from him.
Well, also, I think, a lot of the people who were there in the beginning, who were music people and, would nurture the artist, they were all, gone for the most part. And then you got the bean counters in, telling Prince, hey, by the way, that song in your head, we own that. What? Oh, hell no. And then we have a problem.
Actually, and Big Sexy, I just have to set the record straight on that. It was actually Mo Austin who was the person who said that to him.
Damn, Mo, you're killing me.
Yeah, I mean, and he was also the one who said, you know, let's keep this dude. I think Dirty Mind was supposed to be Prince's last record for Warner Brothers. Mo was the one who spearheaded the movement to sign him up again, you know, to like renew his contract. So I think that. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was asking, you know, a guy like Mo and you know, Prince's managers at the time. They all sort of knew each other, I'm thinking, or I'm asking. I don't know if we remember or know this.
Everybody knew Mo Austin. Mo Austin was around when the music business started.
Absolutely. I'm just saying in terms of they being maybe clicked in with, I got a relationship with Bob Caballo, who, you know.
Yeah,
we're gonna do good, but we're doing good business.
Bob Caballo,
you know, Santacachi or something like that.
Bob Dabalina, yeah.
You know, we got a good relationship, and they got their boy over here, Prince. We work that out, but we're gonna keep doing good business. You know, and I'm like, because I'm saying all this to say, during this period, it wasn't just Prince. We always say Prince had management.
Sure,
people that I could imagine was able to get in and get. Oh, you want to do this? Okay, I'm clicked in. I can make that happen.
Sure.
Versus when them people were gone, and now Prince, you're going to deal with you're going to go in the meeting yourself and deal with them? Okay. Yeah. It's probably going to get a little wild because, you know, they're going to see you one way. Well, if I would have walked in here, hey, Bobby, let's go have lunch and work this out versus here comes this Prince guy. He's going to come in here talking. How dare he tell us what?
Oh, sure. I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
It's just later on, actually, I think they really just kind of gave up the ghost at the end. Was like, if he wants, give him his masters. Like he just, you know, it's like we've gotten all the goodie out that we need. You know, like we wrote him. We got it. I think it was really more like, yeah, all right. Let's just here, take your stuff, man. Move on.
Yeah, we already got the bag off. We don't already made the money off. That's the real money. Yeah,
exactly. They already got the real money off Prince. So I think really some of those new bloods were like, well, what? Well, what's the hassle? You know, like just it's like, dude, Biggie's dropping next week. You know, or what? I guess Biggie dropping.
Whatever it was. Yes.
Yeah. I guess because when
we got a new start next week.
Yeah, somebody's dropping. You know, some you know.
Ain't that crazy? Now they're literally dropping.
Well,
we're getting into something else. But
all right, I want to talk about Ray J. I want to talk about Ray J and the Kardashians.
Hilarious. Listen, shout out to Ray J.
Yeah.
Because, man, Lord.
I don't know if I really want to talk about it.
No, I know.
It's kind of crazy, man. It's very crazy. What I understand is that the mom, Kris Jenner, knew.
Watch the tape.
And watch the tape. Man, what kind of craziness is that?
The craziness that have you have a sex tape and be worth billions. You're like so calculated and so scary. That's wild, man. I
had no idea that that the Kardashians were in so much control over the media. I'm just, and I only know all this because of my wife, and she calls them the Kardashians, but she still watches them.
Isn't that's the whole thing?
She can't turn away.
Yeah,
she's watching them right now.
Hilarious. Putting his wife on blast.
She don't care. You know, but she's the one I heard about it from, actually. Then I started going, and then I saw Ray J like going off for like an hour.
Man, he's been through a lot, man. I used to call him the Kato Caitlin.
Oh no!
But I actually would give him his props. He's got a company with the Raycons.
Okay.
What are those, like earbuds or something? And I hear
That's
people,
right.
I hear them being mentioned in other things that I watch. I'm like, oh, okay, Ray J must be getting paid.
He's moving and shaking, but I mean, it's like if
he's a wild boy though. But yeah.
That's all right. You know, let them be wild. But it's just the fact that they've been trying to, you know, trying to hem him up and whatnot. It's like, why is all that necessary? I mean,
well, he did sign the contract with those tapes too, so it's not like he wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, but the original idea was that they got stolen, right?
Right, that was the story.
And then later on, they figured they needed a culprit.
Listen, I need to see.
You need a villain. Always.
You know, they need to make the Kris Jenner movie and have it start from the Wheaties box to what he is known to do. That would be whoever plays that role is gonna get the Oscar. That's gonna be like, this is an American story, a true American story.
Whoever plays Caitlyn?
Yeah, he used to be. I mean, as a kid, I just know Bruce Jenner on the box.
Bruce, yeah.
Super athlete. He was like the Michael Jordan super Captain America. If you had told me back then, dude, old boy, he gonna be old girl. And his daughter, they going to be on some wild stuff. I'd be like, you're crazy. That sounds ridiculous. He's going to be a woman. But it's true.
The crazy part to me is that Caitlyn seems to be at odds with the rest of the trans community.
It is wild. Yeah.
Like, what? I don't know enough about that whole struggle to even really speak on it, but it's just, all I know is that there's animosity. I guess, you know, it's like, well, you know, I guess if I'm Caitlyn Jenner, I'm living the life, you know, and I'm generally above reproach. Whereas, you know, we got trans people dying every day in the street.
Welcome to America.
Black trans for sure.
Right.
So I guess it's that thing. It's like, okay, it's still privilege, you know.
I'm saying, man, that'd be a wild movie. He would touch all these different iconic points where he would be involved with the most iconic rappers of all time.
Sure.
You know, all this other stuff. Like, it's like, wow, he was just an athlete. How did it get to this? You know, it'd be a hell of a story.
We talking about Lifetime? We talking about made for TV?
No, I'm talking about in the theaters. Like, this would be, you know, they'd make this the biggest movie of all time. Oh, it's in tears, his journey.
Well, you know what? You're probably right, man.
Be up there with the Woman King. Nah, let me stop.
Wow. Oh, man. Listen, have you seen Pimp?
I have not seen that movie yet.
With Keke Palmer?
No, I haven't seen it. I know.
I just saw it last night, man.
That looks kind of crazy.
It was. What did you think of it, Big Sexy?
You know, it was wild. It was wild.
Like, wow,
I didn't see it coming.
Keke Palmer, she was pretty hardcore in that movie. I was not expecting that. Speaking of Keke Palmer, I was going to go next to Nope. Actually, since I hadn't really had a chance to talk to any brothers about Nope. If you've seen it, have you seen it?
I have not seen Nope.
We did a review show on it. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
I didn't care for it that much. I gave it a nah. I'm good. I respect his artistic vision. I compared him in a sense to Prince. Like, he can give you a straightaway hit, but I just feel like he's on his around the world in the day sort of trajectory for the moment. And like, come on. Okay. I was like, you can be all creative white folks patting you on the back. Now come on back and go ahead and give us the, you know, just the good old shit. You ain't, you know, because that wasn't it for me.
Yeah, okay. I could see that. And, you know, and I'll be honest, I wanted to love it. I wanted to love it, but I think that when I heard him say something about he wanted to make like a blockbuster, like I think maybe it was just too contrived. Like if you're already thinking about, well, I mean, I guess
he's a clever guy. He's maybe old. I think he's just a little too clever right now. It's like, okay, stop it, tone it down.
Okay,
that's just my take. He's very clever, though. I'm not. I see the artistic. I get it. It's just give me a story.
Okay,
but
no, that's cool. You know, I mean, and I'm.
He's a visionary.
I give him that. Visionary. Well, I mean, while I'm at it, did they say there's a Black Panther sequel or no?
Where have you been, Mike?
Come on, Mike.
Man,
you haven't seen the trailer that I take it.
Man, for the last month, I was my band was. I just did an Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute on Wednesday night.
How did that go?
That's right.
People said that it was amazing, but Barbarella and I were cutting each other's eyes at each other, going, "We need another swipe at this because this could,
really,
We just come from another place, man. Where if it's not absolutely nailing it to the wall,
I got it.
Well, I mean,
I got to remember where you guys are from. Like,
yeah, not that Prince made us like that, but it's like once you have a taste of that, it's like there's a way for things to be done, Yeah,
that's such a higher level and frequency of what you do.
Yeah, we're just honest about it with ourselves. I mean, people can, it's we know enough not to let other people blow our heads up, and we hold each other, pretty accountable. So I thought that it was sold out. People were entertained. I'm just saying there was a lot of pre-production I had to do for it. So I haven't been paying attention to much of anything.
No, I love it. I would love to be that out of tune with a lot of this other noise. So that's great.
Yeah, it was a good reason to turn the TV off.
Turn the TV off. Turn off my moments. But the answer, yes, there is a new Black Panther movie coming out. It's called Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
Trailer's been out. The big question is, where is T'Challa? Who's going to be? Well, I guess there's no question. They tell you he's dead. But how did this happen? Who's going to be the Black Panther? So it's a big. You still don't know what's going on with the movie, really.
Okay. Yeah, I see our time is running out, so I'm just kind of going. I'm jaunting around a little bit.
Oh no, we're good. Let me know when your time is running out.
Okay.
I got some other things here for you. Let's see.
Oh, that's well. Before we go, let me get my little run out the way first.
Go ahead.
Little Mermaid.
Ooh.
What the white folks is going on?
Listen.
Have we really? This is.
I'm gonna let you talk. Go ahead.
That sounds like Big Sexy. He's already breathing hard. Go ahead, man. Say it.
I hope, and I will own being naive at times. I hope this is really a small segment who just happen to have, running their mouth on social media. But at the end of the day, it's a fucking cartoon. Jeez.
Yes.
Give it a rest.
Well, I agree, but this just goes to show how when you take, and I'm using their stories, icons, fantasy, whatever, and you try to switch it up, they don't play it's just a thing. They're not having that. They gonna let you know, no, you're not. Not without a fight. And I'm just saying, all to say is that's why, I remember when the 1999 special edition, what was they had my man from Guns N' Roses or something?
Duff.
And I, respect him, but I had the same energy. I'm like, how are we gonna have this our thing? I thought, we should be represented in the whoop-de-whoop. So I get it why they're saying that. Mm-hmm. They don't let you play around with it. Let you have a movie about, I ain't gonna even say what I was gonna say. Let it be about a Jewish situation and they do it like the Woman King. You don't think they'll be screaming and hollering? No. There's ain't no nuance. Hands off our stuff. And I'm not saying it's right. Okay. But I'm just saying that's what they do. We should have been doing that when it came to stuff that we had. And we just let them take our music or whatever and run with it. We need to be just like they do because they're not letting you play with their stuff. And we don't own it no way. So I'm like, hey, I salute the young lady playing that character. Hope she get a nice bag. It's a good opportunity. But I also hope that we have people can create our own stories and fantasies that we spotlighted, and we can gatekeep our shit. But that's why they're doing it, because white folks ain't playing around like that. And not that it's right, but I hope that we start acting like that about certain things and just be like, you know what?
I agree with you 100% on that. Definitely. We, as Black artists and creative people, we don't protect our intellectual property with the same kind of fervor. I mean, partly because we probably we are so used to being stolen from, you know, that and also we're accustomed to feeling powerless when it does happen,
right?
Because we're not really running anything.
And be clear, I'm not saying I'm promoting the hate on old girl. Not at all. I think it's ridiculous.
No, you just saying,
but I'm just not surprised
how
by
they do.
It. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But well, yes.
I ain't forgot where I'm at. That's
okay. I mean, and I hear you, but it's like, okay, when are they going to deal with the fact that Jesus not only wasn't white, but not an American?
Right. Oh, this is just all tied together. I think there's a thing coming. This is something gonna happen in this country, that all of this is coming to a head. It's gonna all go down to, we're not gonna lose our identity to these other people. That's what they fighting.
Oh, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, well,
they're not we're not gonna be the minorities, or we're not gonna be the powerless. We're gonna fight on everything they're gonna fight it on. That's all that woke stuff is everything that's where they're getting
it's
taken away. They're gonna fight for
anti-abortion, all of that.
Yeah,
they're trying to keep their numbers up.
Yep.
Yeah. I suppose. I guess I hadn't pushed it into. I hadn't connected all of that yet in my brain. I was just like, it's a fictional character. It's a cartoon. Why do you feel
right?
So.
Yeah, why you so
bent out of shape?
Right.
She's not real.
But that's not how they see it. They don't see it like that. Well, it's a piece of, that's our thing. Just that same. It's the same thing going on with the Lord of the Rings and all that. I don't know if you're aware of that right now.
No. What's happening?
There's a new Lord of the Rings that Amazon has. They done spent billions of dollars to buy. They buy, Amazon blank check it, so it looks fantastic. But they made a point to cast people of color as the lead characters. So all your iconic white fantasy heroes,
Bilbo Baggins and all of them,
they all black or
really
Asian and all.
Wow.
And so you would think they changed the Bible. They going in on that.
They're mad. They're hot about
it. You think the Little Mermaid? Now this is their shit. This is their Bible. So they going, but again, it ain't really got nothing to do with you're changing the story. They see that's they heroes. That's their folklore. All of that stuff goes into the cultures of people. They hold that dear, Superman, all that. That's their culture. The stories that make you feel good. So when somebody says, well, we're going to put a black face or a non-white face on, that's an attack on their whole being. So whether it's a political aspect with the Trump stuff or it's in this fantasy realm, it's all the same thing. So they're not arguing about you changing my character. You're taking me out of being the hero.
Well,
you're going to be, and I'm going to bow down to you.
Let me blow your minds right quick. Imagine, if you will, they did The Wiz today. All hell would break.
They've announced that, though, Mark. The guy from Blackish is doing it, and they going in.
No. I mean, imagine that it didn't happen back in 1978.
Oh, okay.
As it didn't happen, and just today, it would be premiering. Chaos would erupt.
I suppose.
But they hated it back then too, if you go back and remember. White folks,
were they mad then?
That movie flopped. Yes,
I don't
that movie
remember.
flopped back then.
Well, I do remember going to see it, My older sisters dragged me to see it, and I was not. I didn't really understand what was going on, to be honest.
I was just wanting to see the Michael Jackson part. That's all I knew.
Well, you can't win. Yeah. You can't win. Michael Jackson.
He's on down the road.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yeah, I mean,
I was just going to say something else, but I can't remember now. Oh yeah, I remarked to my wife often when Good Times or Sanford and Son are on. Like that was I keep black people on my TV. Like I'm like, this must be the most black people you ever seen on television. Is what I say to my wife, because I'm constantly, if it's not Family Feud, it's Sanford and Son or Good Times. They're just on all the time. And sometimes I think about the fact that it was, what, for 2 hours a week, maybe when I was a kid, you could see black people on TV.
Right. That's old school.
So it's funny. It's interesting to me also that all these different franchises and whatnot are realizing that diversity is the future, but white people still ain't catching on.
Well, yeah.
Like they're not ready to acquiesce to that.
Oh, yeah. No.
Like I'm not sure what that's saying about the current state of things.
Again, I will share something with you cats off air. Based on
okay, all right.
Well, we on the air now, goddamn.
You don't want to say it here, Big Sexy?
I cannot say it here.
Too much hate mail?
Too many repercussions. And I'll just leave it at that.
Wow, we were all finding ourselves at a loss for words today. Not a loss.
This is the time we're in. People rightfully have to guard what they say because it could mess up. What would my man say?
This is a business.
And, yeah, you can say what you want to say, but if you're not totally free from earning a pay from certain things, you have to, have some wisdom and pull back. This is what I want to bring up. Have you heard of what's the coach that just got suspended from the NBA?
I can't pronounce his name. Ime Udoka or something like that, the coach of the Boston Celtics.
Right. Is he African?
I don't know that much about him. He's a black man, but
Okay. All right.
He apparently, and he's
what's that name?
his fiance, the actress Nia Long, excuse me. But anyway, he's getting suspended.
That's his wife?
They're not married, but they do have a son.
Oh.
But I guess there was he had a relationship with some other woman in the league, and which is a no-no, I guess, if you're being an authority figure. And it sounds like the story is just unfolding as we saw. I'm careful to speak the purpose, but it sounded like with some unwanted comments to some women in there, so they had to let him go. But you have that story in the news, but you also have, what's his name, Brett Favre, football player? Yeah. And here's this thing where it sounded like he was stealing millions of dollars from welfare.
Yeah. I did hear situation. Something about that. Yeah.
And a lot of people have been asking, why don't we hear about the Brett story more than we're hearing about this Nia Long story? Mm-hmm. And my thing, the simple answer to me is, well, because I assume Brett, that's their guy. The people that sort of run mainstream media, why would they put their own people on blast? It's not fair, but I mean, of course they ain't going to run with his story.
I disagree slightly.
Go ahead.
And I'm not defending Brett by any stretch of the imagination, but I think, I've told people this, I think as of this moment, Brett hasn't been charged yet. Now, I understand in this situation, one of the higher-ups has already cut a deal to work with the authorities. Now, if they do charge Brett, bet the house that ESPN, Fox News, CNN, all of them will capture that perp walk. Trust me on that one.
Okay.
It's just premature to get on him yet. Because if they charge him, watch the ceiling fall in.
Wow. Yeah, but if it's anybody else they're not waiting until somebody gets charged before they put them all over the media, though. And they talk about these stories. That doesn't make it a news story just because they haven't been charged like that. They saw shoeing on dude. That's their guy. I don't know if you saying they're waiting for him to be charged. What if he's never charged? It's still a story.
Yeah, see, now the lawyer in me is coming up. If he's never charged, then where's the story?
Well, stories ain't got nothing to do about people trust. That's not a court of law. That's what I'm saying. Why would they wait for that? They don't need, that's a news story ain't got nothing to do with you being charged or not. It's because you're a popular person and they're going to talk about you. Half the stories they talk about are not about court cases. So, you know what I'm saying? So why wouldn't it be a story? Him being charged ain't got nothing to do with it. That's just my opinion. Trump ain't been charged for half of that shit. He stay in the news.
Oh boy.
Like certain, CNN will frame that story one way, keep him in the news, whether he got charged under it or not. Fox going to keep him in the story one way or the other, but they're going to spin it in his favor. But he's still going to be in the news.
One day I'm going to watch Fox News. I've never actually watched it just to see how they spin shit.
Sometimes they don't even bother. They just broadcast something else. They just
right.
They just talk about something else. Like on bad Trump days, they'll do like human interest stories.
Just ignore it.
Oh, and that old and the poodle apparently saved the guy by. It's a lot of that. Yeah. Human interest stories.
Yeah. Well. I wanted to ask you about this, Mike. Music thing, hip hop. I don't know maybe you haven't heard this. There's a lot of talk about hip hop these days, and in terms of the origins of it, and what they're saying is some people, and it's gotten racial, which is interesting. People are saying, "Hey, what were this? Jamaicans and some other groups." They're the ones who in Puerto Ricans. I think Fat Joe was saying Puerto Ricans, 50-50 created hip hop. And some people are saying, hey, man, hip hop started in America. It was American blacks, not immigrants or whatever, who actually came up with this. And this has been a whole big thing going on. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts, not one way or the other, or you can comment how you want, but what do you think of there's having this conversation about the hip hop origins, and who created it?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't given it a whole lot of thought. I've always thought of it as being, it's black. Hip hop is black as far as I'm concerned. And just because you happen to come up adjacent to, or you were close enough to see the action, that doesn't necessarily give you an entitlement, I can imagine that out east, if hip hop was invented on the East Coast, that, whatever black people were into, some Latinos were probably close by, checking it out, just like white folks. I played at the Apollo Theater for their 70th anniversary. I was just a drummer in the pit orchestra. You see the band? I was just one of them dudes. And Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick came on. During we were running parts of the show, we were there for a couple days before the actual shooting. Before they shot the show. And I was looking around the room while Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick were doing their thing, and there were as many white people singing along to the show as anybody else. I mean, like white women in their 50s, with their headset on, production assistant, going to knew all the words to Lottie Dottie, knew all the words to the show. So I understand how people can feel. Unless they can point to specific artists, what did you say? It was Fat Joe who said it?
Fat Joe, yeah, he came out and said that Latinos or Puerto Ricans contributed 50%. Coincidentally, Fat Joe is the host of this year's BET Hip Hop Awards. There's been a lot of pushback about this.
Again, I'm talking out of my neck, talking on the side of my neck, because I don't really know. I live in the Midwest. It's we don't know nothing too clear around here. we kind of, we're detached, have been detached from everything. Mm. But I don't know. As far as I am concerned and how I feel about it, hip hop is that's Black culture. Black culture is American culture, but Black culture is Black culture.
Interesting.
I'm not a hip hop fan like Mike Dean is, but my understanding is DJ Kool Herc started this.
Me too. That was the name that was in my mind.
Yeah.
While we were talking, but
he was definitely around earlier, but I wouldn't give him the created part. Like, he didn't create scratching, and he was one of the bigger guys, as a lot of other DJs was getting down.
Okay.
But, yeah, there's a lot of people.
That's fair. It's funny that you should bring this up, because I tried to call Dennis Chambers, world famous drummer, played with P-Funk in the early 80s, in the late 70s. He actually came in that organization as the drummer for the Brides of Funkenstein. And then that band was whooping P-Funk so bad that they gutted the Brides of Funkenstein, and Dennis ended up in Parliament Funkadelic. He played on a lot of the Sugar Hill records. And I still need to pick his brain about like, well, which ones did you play on? Like, is that you playing on, like, what record is it? The Message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. Like, there's some live drumming on that record. There's a lot of programming, but there's some live drumming also. And I'm like, did you play on, like, I'm trying to think of some of those other records. Double Dutch Bus. I'm not. I had always been told that he was like the studio cat on all those records. Like for some reason all the titles are escaping me now. Like Apache and whatnot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Also,
Apache was a cut.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis is
bonehead.
Yeah, incredible drummer. I wanted to kind of get his take on that process, going on in the late 70s, into the 80s, and how they constructed that music, who was around, who did what. But he's out of the country right now, so I wasn't able to. He texted me, he said, "I'm out. I'll be back after the 26th." So I'm gonna end up picking his brain about all that, but I don't know. I need more information to say for sure, but it's my impression has always been that was us. Much like jazz. Jazz is was probably the I think they call it the first original art form from the United States.
Wow.
So
hip-hop, even jazz.
It's not that far-fetched to me to believe that this is also ours 100%.
I'm going to go back to hip-hop, and I don't know if we asked or talked about this before, but when you guys were doing Diamonds and Pearls, and a lot of the stuff in the 90s, was a lot of hip-hop rap things going on with you. Mm-hmm. Did you ever hear feedback from people that you may have respected who knew something about hip hop and rap and what they thought about what you sound that you guys are doing?
No, just a lot of people in that Prince universe were just like kind of a lot of people who were critical were well, what do I want to say exactly? Yes, I some people were less accepting, and some people thought it was cool. I mean, we played. Actually, the NPG played at the Apollo in probably 90. It might have been a show on the Act 1 tour, maybe. We played for some dance school. I can't remember which dance school it was, but it was a benefit. and Q-Tip was like there, you know.
Wow.
Somebody else was there. There was a couple of famous rappers at that show, and you know, I think that had they been against it or not with it in some way, shape, or form, they might not have shown up. I know that somewhat recently, didn't Chuck D say something about Tony?
He did, actually, yes.
Because, like, I know for a fact that, Chuck D was like Tony's dude when he was coming up. You know, like he was. Wow. He was the guy who set, like, you know, the standard. Really. Yeah, I feel that way about Chuck D too. Chuck D is probably my favorite MC of all time.
Remember when Chuck D was the facto, like the top of the chain? Like, I remember, like, to get a nod, you could tell, like, on the credits of the PE was a big thing to see what rappers that they would mention in the thank you. Like, then whoever they said they mentioned was they was the shit. And if some of them you haven't heard before, you need to go listen to their shit.
Oh yeah,
that was how much of a stranglehold public enemy had over.
I mean, Chuck was pretty strong, man. I mean, and also just throwing Farrakhan in there, right? just pissing people off. Farrakhan's a prophet, and I think you ought to listen to him. Like, okay, well, you know, and to get that far with no radio airplay whatsoever,
right?
So, Chuck was the one to me. I mean, I liked everybody you're supposed to like, but you know, Chuck was kind of the cat to me.
Yeah, he was something else. Like, I don't think you could have a Chuck D today.
I'll tell you who I heard recently that I'd never ever really heard before was Jadakiss.
Oh yeah.
Man, that dude is rough.
Did you watch the verses? Is that where you saw it?
I don't know what I saw, but I was just like, who is that dude?
Okay. Was it a live thing?
It was a live thing.
Okay.
And he was shutting everybody down.
I think it was the verses.
It was the verses, okay.
Yeah, that was a classic thing that just kind of happened. That was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. Amazing MC.
I'm sorry, Big Sexy. We can talk about AC/DC if you want, man.
No. I'm here to learn.
I got all kinds of stories, man.
I'm here to learn.
No, go ahead, man. I know there's a lot of people that want to hear some of this other stuff too. So.
Oh, that is funny, man. Because every time, I mean, just on the random. I listen to a lot of album rock on my way to rehearsal. With Soul Asylum, my drum tech just always has the rock and roll on. He likes hip hop too, but you know, the rock and roll is just kind of funny. And every time Thunderstruck comes on, I remember Prince saying, Prince like tried to play that riff, and he was like, "Man, I tried to play that riff, you know, I only could do it for like 30 seconds. How's that guy keep doing it for like the first 2 minutes of the song, you know?" I'm like, Prince, I have no idea. But
it's funny because we talk differences of you know, we'll just use hip hop and rock for this discussion. Mike and I did a show, God, I think last year, and we both played for each other a song that we normally wouldn't hear. Mm-hmm. You know, so I played Cult of Personality for him.
Oh boy!
And he played. I want to say it was. It's going to drive me crazy, Mike. Help me out.
I can't remember what I played.
I want to say something from Tribe Called Quest or something in that vein that I never heard before. And it was just interesting to hear us react to stuff that we had never heard before.
Sure,
it was really cool.
I was familiar with Cult of Personality just because seeing the video.
Yeah, they played that video a lot back in the day.
Yeah, that was a big hit.
Yeah, but it's funny, the Tribe Called Quest. I don't know how well the record did, but like what's it? Oh, they've had new records out since then. But the Love Movement, I remember when that was the first Tribe Called Quest record I actually purchased.
Interesting.
I went kind of sideways with them. Like after that, I got like what's the one with Bonita Applebum.
Instinctual Travels or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. One. Yeah. I went retroactively with Tribe Called Quest.
That's funny because the Love Movement was where I stopped kind of paying attention.
I got you. That's for some reason that record just moved me, man.
Yeah, I think I know the professors of the game will tell me. I think that's the one Jay Dilla is on. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's some phenomenal stuff out there in all the genres. I find myself at a time now where I can actually go back and listen to albums that I was fully aware of back in the day, but it was just like, yeah, I'm not listening to that, or I know one song, but I never really paid attention to it. Now I'm starting to go back and start listening. I was like, wow, I really wasn't paying attention like I should have. And I'll say this, like, who am I doing that a little bit with? Like Mary J. Blige.
Oh, sure.
Of course, I know Mary J. Blige. Her first single, Real Love, that was my shit. I used to play that out. But that was the last thing and I just never really got into it after that. Though I would see her doing her thing.
Sure.
But now I started to go back and listen to some of this stuff. I was like, wow, this actually, I can see why I wasn't into it at the time, but yeah, this shit is pretty cool. Like listening to it now, I dig this. This is good.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Yeah,
I understand it. It's like that with some artists.
I even like that with some Prince albums sometimes.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny because sometimes I feel like I want to listen to Prince and I have a hard time deciding what record to put on. It's like as if it's too close to something I was involved with,
right?
Then I'm gonna have tactile memories the entire time.
I'm
gonna remember like moments in the studio and this happened and that happened. And I wish I would have played something different there. And
wow.
What kind of day it was. Like I have my memory is really kind of it's pretty strong.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you like if you had the albums laid out in front of you and you were like going to pick one, does just the whole thing of it flash in your mind right before you grab it? Like, heart, I know what this is about. Like, I remember all of this flashes back. I don't want
kind of, sort of, yeah. I mean, if it's anything I played on, I try not to, but I mean, you know, it's you know, Cream was a big hit. I hear that song around a lot. Even now, you know, and I'm always just kind of transported back to the recording session and whatever went on that day. It's crazy. Yeah, a lot of memories from the Symbol album. Also, that was just the creative process was different to a certain degree because you know, we knew that Rosie was going, so. I think it affected it affected what Prince was trying to draw from the group. Like I think he was also trying to prove that we could keep moving without her, you know. But yeah, that record it shows off the band a lot. I think with like arrogance and. What else on that record? I mean, even Sexy MF is like, it's you know, I had cats calling me up like, "Hey man, who came up with that beat? Is that you came up with that beat?" Like, no, Prince kind of just, you know, he kind of banged out a rhythm on top of the piano, and I kept experimenting until we both found something that was kind of cool, you know.
Wow. What about the Love to the Nines?
Yeah, see, yeah, I think the longest studio day of my life was the day we cut Love to the Nines and 3 Chains of Gold. We cut something else that day, and we also cut the studio version of Johnny, the NPG from Gold Inward. That was the longest, longest studio day of my life. We had just gotten off tour, so it was just like, I mean, I think I was home for 2 days, and we were right into it.
Wow!
So Prince was in a hurry to kind of, you know, put things together and get this record finished. You get that record finished because I think he already had Prince already had 7, and a couple more songs he had worked on by himself. So he kind of the plan as soon as we got home, the plan just rolled out.
One of the things I wanted to always ask you too was, did you guys really have a sense of how the music was received by the fans after the albums would come out? How were you able to gauge, like, oh, they liking this, or was it just when you went on the road you saw that and you were like, wow, there's that many people here? Like, how did you guys gauge that?
Kinda. I mean, it was it was sort of that. I mean, my only real regret out of the entire run was that we didn't actually tour the United States when Diamonds and Pearls came out. Mm-hmm. You know, and I know that actually I know from talking to Fink that Prince had all sorts of offers on the Purple Rain tour to go everywhere in the world, and he was just like, nope. Like, he just didn't want to do it. And left a magnanimous amount of money on the table, apparently. But he was just done. I mean, every time anybody brought up, you know, that tour or any of that, he was just like, you don't have any idea what it's like to play the same guitar solo 96 times in a row. You know, he's like, it was nothing like any of my other tours. Most of the people who came to my show that year already also saw Madonna, also saw Phil Collins, also saw Bruce Springsteen. It was like being in a traveling circus. And, you know, Prince always had a short attention span, so he was always wanting to play, you know, unreleased music live, and he felt completely limited by the experience of the Purple Rain tour. Like, he couldn't deviate from the script. So he was happy to be done with it. But
why do you think he didn't do like Diamonds and Pearls though? Well, you guys had a Diamonds and Pearls show, they didn't?
Well, we went to Australia, Europe, and Japan that year. We didn't do the States. I asked him actually right after the we were all at wherever he was renting a place in LA at the time. We played the Arsenio Hall show and then went to his house in the evening to watch it. And it finished up, and it was I asked Prince, said, well, when are we going to tour the United States? And he said, we just did. It's like, really? That's it? It just, you know, we just got seen by 50 million people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he kind of just, I don't remember what we did instead, because we didn't go directly into rehearsal for the European tour, but I'm trying to remember what we did all that time. Probably shoot more videos, and that's right. Put together, yeah. There was a lot of. That's right. There was a whole VHS tape that came out with videos from Diamonds and Pearls.
Right.
That's what happened. There was a lot of shooting, and probably a lot of late night parties. But yeah, it was 93 before we toured the States, I think. But yeah, in Europe, like, people were. Prince was so beloved over there. Nobody ever said one negative thing about the music that I can remember. It was just like, it's Wicked Night. Yeah, the Diamonds and Pearls are incredible. Love that film. You know,
we would have did that
you're
in
walking
the
on
States
green
too, though.
What's that?
I said we would have did that in the States if we would have got a chance to experience it.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? The Act One tour was, in and of itself, was incredible. We finally did get to. Get to see everybody. I remember a show. I think it was at the Chicago Theater, and people were stomping so hard in the up in the balcony that it was moving like it was gonna like break.
Wow.
Yeah, I do remember that. That once we did actually tour the States, it was very rewarding. But I just think that Diamonds and Pearls would have been. We only played like 3 shows that first year. Like when Get Off came out, they immediately booked like Jack the Rapper, and I think Warner Brothers had a
some kind of outdoor thing, wasn't there?
yes, we did play. We played at Warner Brothers Records, like in the lot. But also that's around the time they had the WIA, like it was like Warner, Elektra, and Atlantic came together. They had a little conglomerate, and we played a couple shows for them. Like one was like at a hotel. And also, I think Jack the Rapper might have been at a hotel also in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. But it was just a handful of shows. And that show in Atlanta was real funny because I think it was Bow-Legged Lou. Bow-Legged Lou and his girlfriend were sitting in like the 3rd row. And Bow-Legged Lou was ice grilling Prince all night.
Really?
Just had his arms crossed, and his woman jumped up a couple times, and he looked at her like, "If you don't sit down right now, I will go upside your head with you know." And she sat down,
allegedly.
But by the time we got to Purple Rain, I noticed he was still looking mad, but he was nodding a little bit. He was, like, all right.
Why was he be mad? I thought they have love.
I don't know, man.
Not full for it. Not Jerry Juice. Come on.
I just thought that was funny. I mean, kind of the same thing sort of happened when we played Arsenio. Little Richard and MC Hammer were sitting together. And I think that just made Prince just even, turn it on even harder.
Interesting.
And they were both just looking mad.
I can see Little Richard like, I made this. No,
pretty much.
Where am I? I ain't mad at Little Richard.
I had the same hairstyle in 1962.
I couldn't get it back then when when the Purple Rain was at the premiere party was on MTV and Little Richard was out there talking. I didn't get it then, and I didn't get Little Richard when he would come out on the award shows. And I started it. I was like, why is he? I totally get it now. Like, you're goddamn right. You should have did that. Like,
Little Richard is the king. I mean, man, his band was called. It was Little Richard and the Upsetters.
Wow.
The Upsetters. Like, you come see the show, if you trying to rival me, you just gonna be upset. Little Richard and the Upsetters, man.
Wow.
That's so hot. It's strange because Dave Perner, the leader of Soul Asylum, we talked about Little Richard somewhat recently. He's like, he's like the feeling I always got was it was like a sort of like, it was almost like punk rock. Like Little Richard was so, like how he came at it was just so much abandon and kind of almost violent,
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Especially back then, yeah.
Yeah, banging the crap out the piano. Just get. All that hooting and hollering.
Aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive. Like, pretty and aggressive. So, I mean.
And it's almost like he had to fight to like not be forgotten. Like, y'all not going to take the fact that I built this shit. Mm-hmm. Everything is based on what we was doing. Like, that's a damn shame. And sadly, I hope that don't happen for the generations that come after him where they're going to have to fight, literally be out there on the award show like, no, hold up, God damn it.
Well, it's hard to say because, it's some white people like to try to take credit when you're not looking.
Which is, well, what Big Sexy knows. There was a thing, DJ Academics thing just happened right now. We had made some comments about the hip hop pioneers are dusty. They're not making money. And you've had LL Cool J's come out spoke on this. Russell Simmons. There's a number of Spice One. A lot of people are like, yo, man, we have to show respect to the elders who made an opportunity for us to be successful today. Whether or not they got all the money, they were contributors. They are the reason. So you just always have to show respect. Same way with Little Richard. Always got to show respect to those who came before. So they could be a prince, so they could do all this stuff.
Absolutely. And I don't think Prince would downplay or try to, mince words or cut around it. I mean, he had he had Little Richard like vinyl records at Paisley. He was the one he liked to play was Little Richard. I think it was called Little Richard in Session, and you hear Little Richard like telling the band like how he wants them to play, and you hear like the producer talking to him over the talk back, and he said something to I think it was either the guitar player or the drummer. He said no wait that effect is not simple enough. Here, listen at me. And then he shows the dude the way he wants it played. But the fact that he said listen at me used to tickle Prince. No, that effect is not simple enough. Listen at me.
I love it. I love that stuff. That type of stuff is golden, man. That's the shit I like listening to Prince for.
Yeah.
The rehearsals and just when he started talking, I'm like, wow. Or sometimes you can hear it in the music. I hear it, so I swear, like I can hear him sometimes give a direction. It'd be way in the background. Like if we go to the bridge, he'll say something.
Could be.
You could hear it kind of get loud, or you hear the chain beating against something on the mic stand, maybe, or something. That was fascinating to me. All that stuff.
Yeah. If you listen close enough, you hear all sorts of strange, underneath sort of subliminal, not subliminal, but just. Yeah, also Sonny talked a lot when we recorded.
You can hear Sonny, yes. You can.
Yeah, and if it was a good take, you hear Sonny laughing. It's because he's right next to the 12 mics on the drums and whatnot.
Wow.
But that's the ending of Billy Jack Bitch. It's just you hear Sonny unplugged talking about y'all some tight mother.
Right.
As soon as he said it, Prince said that's going on the record.
Nice. Man.
So, Big Sexy.
Yes.
Halloween ends. Are you or are you not?
Am I or am I not what?
Excited about the Halloween, the end of the trilogy?
I was never a horror film guy.
Okay.
So I'm not the one to ask. I defer to Mr. Dean on that one.
Well, I'm not.
I bet he's not. He don't seem like the type of dude to be into it to me.
I've only seen a couple Halloweens.
All right, I guess maybe I'm alone on that. I thought I'd throw it out there and see.
Since we're throwing things around here, let me ask you something. Did you get a chance to see any of the footage from the Taylor Hawkins tribute in Wembley?
I did not see any of it.
The reason I ask is, what's the man's name? Dave Grohl brought out this little girl, and she played drums with them on Learning to Fly. Nailed it.
Okay.
I want to see what you thought as a drummer, because to me, she was putting in that work.
Oh, there's a lot of gifted young drummers out there, man. I'm sure she, if she was up there playing with them, I'm sure she had it. I haven't seen. That was only what was that, last week or the week before?
Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah, okay. I saw a lot of people making comments on Facebook and whatnot, and I thought to myself, well, I'll get around to seeing it, but I don't know what really made me just sort of circumvent it all, but I never did go back and try to give it much of a look. Also, you know what? I'm kind of I've always been that dude. It's like, if everybody in the world is doing this, I want to do something else. And it was just like, okay, well, while everybody's, watching this, maybe I'll get off into something else. I think I started watching some show on on like HBO Max or something. Oh, I was trying to finish this old show called The Leftovers.
Sounds familiar.
Oh, I remember that a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like this dude with like kind of a Christ complex, but it's kind of about the rapture.
Mm-hmm.
Like people just disappeared at some point.
I've seen a couple episodes a long time ago.
Actually, I still have one. I have the series finale. I still have to watch it, but I've been sort of pushing through it, and it's more for. I just want to see what happens. It's I just sort of started watching it and got sort of into it, but I think I might have been at that time pushing through some of those episodes. Actually, I've been watching Dexter lately.
They have new ones of that, don't they? Like
they got I think they have a new. But I just spontaneously, it was like my wife and I were about to eat dinner. I was like, here, I just opened the laptop. I was like, I've been thinking about Dexter lately, and I think we skipped to like season 4.
Okay.
With like John Lithgow, because I think that's the creepiest. But
there's a show Michael Dean turned me on to, similar to The Leftovers, and I can't recommend it highly enough. I think it was Survivors.
Oh yeah.
Survivors.
Yes.
What platform? Where can I see that?
Oh God, where I see
it's a BBC.
Was it BBC
show.
America? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a BBC show.
Survivors. Okay.
And it was.
I forgot about that one.
That show was heavy.
It's what is it? So is it like some kind of virus or something happens that wipes out
everybody?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And you just follow these people. The sad thing about Survivors, I think it's only 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. And it ends on a big cliffhanger and you're so invested, and then the show got canceled. But leading up to all of that is just so such a good show.
Okay.
It's on Amazon Prime, actually.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I have that. I'll take a look for it.
If you like horror, then was it Black Summer?
No.
On Netflix.
I'm not hip.
Oh,
Black Summer.
That's the zombie.
You're not talking about. That's Black Mirror.
I think it's called Black Summer. I guess it's a zombie show, you call it, but this is ultra gritty, fast paced. They'll break into. What's that brother that used to run real fast back in the day?
Carl Lewis?
Carl Lewis on your ass. Like they coming and they ain't stopping. They ain't stopping until you take them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're not like the
no.
When they see you, it's on sight.
They will come and get you.
Run. Yeah, you're gonna have to keep running.
So more like I Am Legend, like those zombies.
But they're not supernatural per se. But it's just imagine, and then of course, still the real monsters are people, and the real monsters are people. But there's hordes coming at you at all times. You can't even be out in the street.
They're more like Train to Busan zombies.
Yeah. Have you seen that? You've seen that one, right? You've seen Train to Busan, have you?
Yeah, we all things Korean get watched in this house.
Gotcha. That's right.
I'm a kimchi eating brother.
I ain't mad at you.
Pickled vegetables, man, love them.
That's right. Well, shoot, man, I think we coming.
Yeah, we
ahead here.
we had a little mild discussion today. Yeah, I think people are going to be underwhelmed. We didn't stir up nothing.
No, I think it was. Yeah, we're great. You did great. You always make it easy for us. So we just listening to you. So
all right. I guess
we're just three cats in the barbershop chopping it up.
Yeah, this is really laid back. Like I think my mind is just my mind is just shut off lately. I just for the last couple of days I didn't do nothing.
Shoot, I'm not doing nothing today. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, well that's a bet, man. I'll go back to watching the game show network as soon as I get off.
Now, speaking of that, okay, here's the last one. I was for both of you guys. Here we go. Since you mentioned game show, what's your number one game show? We're gonna go to Big Sexy first. Big Sexy.
Number one all time?
Yes.
Whoa.
Jeopardy.
Okay. Oh. Respectable classic.
Like showing off how smart I am. I admit it.
Okay. All right.
See, Michael. For me, it's much more of a fascination to see if I can think like common folk. Because I'm messed up. Like my perception of how the world works and everything. It's like I stumbled across a YouTube tutorial about calculus, and I was completely 100% lost. I don't know anything about calculus. Do either of you?
I don't.
That would be a no. I'm a word man, not a numbers man.
Okay, good. Well, then I don't.
My kids are on that, and I'm like, I can't help you.
Okay, right on. I feel better about myself now. But for me, I guess it really would have to be Family Feud.
Wow. Okay. No. Wait. Which Family Feud?
Well,
if there's even a question of that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I watched it when Richard Dawson and all of them dudes were on.
Okay.
But Steve Harvey, hands down.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought you was gonna go old school.
Well, I mean, Louis Anderson was a host for a little while, and he's a Minnesotan, so sure. It's like, But no.
Do you think Steve Harvey? When you think of Family Feud, do you think of Steve Harvey? Is that he done took that now?
I guess it's synonymous, but I think I just like the fact that I don't know. I mean, it's, you know what? I think it's just an easily digestible show.
Yeah. And
you have to think. I mean, you don't have to think like you got to think when you're watching Jeopardy. Right. I don't think I'm smart enough for Jeopardy.
I couldn't ever get into Jeopardy. It's too hard.
No, Big Sexy. His intellect is perhaps surpasses ours, and so he is stimulated by more complicated. But I saw. You know what? I recently saw the $10,000 pyramid.
Wow, I haven't seen that.
I think it's the $100,000 pyramid now. And Michael Strayhorn is.
Oh, that's right. He does have a.
Is the host?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not gonna front. I'm pro black all the way. You know, get some more black people on TV. Why not?
Issa Rae, everything black.
Is that what she said?
She said she was at an award show. They said, "Who are you? Who are you going for?" She just said, "Everybody black" or something like that, and walked off.
You know, it's funny because I just saw an old clip of me. I think we were in England, and so the dude asked me, "Well, what can we expect tonight?" I said, "A lot of black people on stage." Hilarious. I am now embarrassed by that, but
badass. Oh, I was in my show would be Joker's Wild. With,
you're going way back, man.
Wink Martindale.
Oh, okay, well, in that case...
Joker's Wild.
No whammies. No, you're going that far back. No whammies. What show is that?
Press Your Luck.
I kind of like Press Your Luck. I mean, it's a stupid show, and you don't have to know anything. You just have to have nerve, you know. But man, when the whammy came out and just took all your money, it's hard. It's hard thing to cope with. I'm sure.
Honorable mention of Price is Right. That's so.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, because they're the first one on.
Yeah.
The music's memorable.
Yeah,
I think Drew Carey does a good job. You know.
Okay. I always wanted to spin the wheel. You know, beep 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 beep. And always wanted to do the thing at the end, you know, where you have to bid.
The showcase.
$1. Or, no, that wasn't the one. Or you would bid $1 over what the other person said.
Yeah, right.
It's so hilarious.
475. 476.
What they say? the such and such says,
Yeah.
and you win both of them. What was that dude's name? Bob
Barker.
Bob was doing some stuff behind the scenes now.
Bob
really?
Macking behind the scenes.
Yeah, he would have been
Bob was
Me Too'd
getting
out
it
of
in?
here. He would have been
Bob was
Me Too'd
getting
out
it
of
in.
here if it came out now. Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
They had
Oh,
lawsuits.
yes.
Wild boy, sprayed and neutered for sure.
Yeah, Bob was definitely doing his thing.
Oh,
All
man.
right, all
See,
right.
and also, and also lately, I like during my to set up my afternoon viewing. Up this way, we get Deal or No Deal at about 11, and I usually watch that before I Love Lucy comes on.
Man, Mike, you sound like
You know what? Let me state for
my
the
parents
record,
or
too.
somebody.
I'm an old man. I'm
at home
53,
watching
man.
my Gunsmoke now, y'all.
Yeah, I'm watching my stories.
Yeah.
Let me say for the record, every time I see these polls of the greatest sitcoms of all time, and I'm seeing Friends and Seinfeld, fuck all that. The greatest sitcom is I Love Lucy, period.
Yes,
it is
you're
still
right.
on somewhere.
Uh-huh. In my house, usually. No doubt. Andy Griffith, I'll still sit still and watch it.
Wow.
I need TV with morals and ethics and like where people like care about each other. See, Seinfeld's no caring, no learning, no caring. Friends. Give me a break. You're in Central Park, and no black people coming in for coffee.
It wasn't no
Not
black
only
people back
that-
in Andy Griffin now either.
And then you find out that that Friends and Living Single were like shot next to each other on the lot, like they were stealing.
I stole that. Yeah.
Yeah, they pretty much got what they could off of what is it? Let's live it. We are living.
Oh, get it, girl.
Is it Living Single? Yeah.
Living
Living single.
kind of world.
Yep. Keep your head up. What? That's right.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Oh man, those are some great goddamn TV shows. I'm a Martin guy though. Like,
When I was a
love
kid,
Martin.
I used to think Martin was a clown. Man, I get it now.
he's
And not only that, it's like I've seen so many comedians say they're like, "Who's the one guy you don't want to follow?" And they say Martin Lawrence all the time.
interesting.
Like,
Martin's hilarious.
last person I saw say that was Chris Rock. Like, nope, I don't ever want to go on in front of Martin because he's too great of a stand-up.
Wow. All right, so we're about to go into a whole stand-up thing. So let's wrap it up because we can.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, Patrice O'Neal, go. Thank you. Let's just say
That
that.
says all you need to know about Michael Bland right there.
Patrice O'Neal, GOAT for me.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, not Chappelle, but not Chappelle, but
So are you like when you say Patrice? Then do you know? Because he's like a branch off of that. Corey Holcomb.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Corey Holcomb. Who I really like is I'm sorry we're here, but
That's all right.
what is the dude's name? Ron. What is his name? Not Ron. My goodness, I got the wrong guy. He's another one of those dudes. Which says nothing. I can see his face, but it doesn't help. Anyway, yeah, there's I know that clip you're talking about. I also like Deion Cole too. I think Deion Cole
is funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah.
all right, gentlemen. Well, yeah, this is the best way I could have spent my lunch hour on a Saturday, just kicking it with y'all. I know as soon as we get off the air, then it's really going to fly. So you can go ahead and do the benediction, Michael Dean, and we can talk about some realness.
Okay. Wow. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen,
may the Lord watch.
Hey, I ain't got to say nothing else, but thank you, Michael Bland, for coming on. We appreciate it. It's always a good time and a blessing. Thank you, sir. Big Sexy and Sack. Once again, you did your thing. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this, had a good time. Listen, work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.